Good morning, Stampers. I am Pat Fairless. Welcome to Learning with Friends. I have a super easy technique for you today. I call it packing tape technique. And it's a good thing to have in your toolbox. It probably will take me less than 5 minutes to show you how to do it. So right before the video, I decided, well, since it's so quick and easy, I'm just going to make a card too. So as you know, my biggest fear is, well, what have I forgotten over here? And I'm sure I've forgotten plenty of things, but we'll see how it goes. If I have to, I'll just say, you figured out the technique. You don't need to see another card. So I do have 3 completed cards that I will show you that I use the technique on all of them. So let's go ahead, flip the camera down and get started. Okay, so the first one I'm going to show you, what this technique is basically used for. We just use simple, clear packing tape. Oh, and I got an embellishment or something stuck on my tape. I'll just tear that piece off. But it's just standard, clear packing tape. And the thing you use it for is if you have an image that you would like to maybe have it look very glossy or like glass. We've had some stamp sets, and they're retired now, in the past, that were like beer steins or wine glasses. I think there was a whiskey glass in one of them. I'm not a big person to buy food type stamps because I find I don't use them very often. So the best one I could come up with was this teapot. So I'm going to show you the teapot, and the teapot is from Country Flowers stamp set. It's been around for probably about a year, and this is the teapot. So the easiest way to do this is to just use designer series paper. And because this is a photopolymer stamp, I'm going to bring in my piercing mat just to give a little cushion here. And I'm just going to stamp this teapot on this designer series paper. This paper is from Nest, so winter. It's the ones with all the pretty birds. But it does make kind of a pretty speckled teapot, I thought. Oh, and there went my cover. Well, we'll just leave that off to the side and hope I don't drop something in it. So now the next step is, once you have your image stamped, if it needed to be colored, if you had done it on cardstock, I did do one where I stamped and colored on cardstock. And we're just going to take a piece of this packing tape and lay it over the image. And I like to kind of start in the center and then push out, because you don't want to get any bubbles. You want it to lay flat. You don't want any creases, and this packing tape can easily crease. It's not bad as aluminum foil does. But then the next thing is we just die cut it. So let's go ahead and do that. I brought my little, I'm going to put this on here and see if this, you know what, I'm going to get rid of the paper, because this little one does want to move around a little bit more than our heavy one, but it takes up so much less room here on my table. And my plates, I need plate number 1 and 2 number 2s. So with this small machine, if you have trouble getting it started and getting it through, my recommendation is to always stagger your plates. Now, Stampin' Up! Does have a video out there, and they say to stagger it like this, where this one's out, in, and out. I have found if I just put them all at 3 different layers, see that? Does it show? I think there, I hope you can see it there. I have found that that is the easiest way I've had to get it through. And where did I lay my die? I know I grabbed it. Oh dear, I moved the paper and now I don't have the die. Now I know I have it. It's just a matter of where did I put it. And I'm not seeing it, so I don't really want to waste. Oh, found it. Right where I put it. I'm gonna try this silicone mat that comes with the glass mat to see if it helps keep it from slipping around. Because it's not very heavy, so it does tend to want to slip. And I probably should have brought some little washi tape and hold it in place, but I'm gonna lay this down here carefully and let's hope it doesn't slide. So once you get started, and see that's actually going in very easily when it has those staggered plates. So the other hint I have, if you have trouble, even with your large machine, getting a die to go through. Now this die has a lot of uneven edges, but as you put it through, if there's a flat edge on it, like maybe this one, don't put it like this when you run it through. Put it like this so it hits something more gradually as opposed to the sharp edge. If you have a rectangular die or a square die, that is particularly true. Let me show you with this little spring corners die. You don't want to run it through like this because it's hitting this hard edge. So just take your die and turn it on, and so the corner goes through first, and it will crank so much easier. You will definitely notice the difference. So that's a free tip for today. Because I do know sometimes people have trouble getting the plates started when you want to crank it through. But here you can see now this is all nice and shiny. Now let me show you the card. You can see I didn't get tape at the top edge, or did I? I did. It is. It just looks like it's off for some reason. I don't know why. You want to make sure you have tape wide enough that one piece will cover whatever image you have, because you don't want to have that seam through there. That's going to definitely take away from it. So now you can, if I tilt this a little bit, you can see how that teapot just shines like it's china. And this is the card that I made for that. And that's all I was planning to show you, but I decided that was hardly worth your time and effort to watch. So I'm going to make one more card here, kind of on the fly. And we are going to use the Spring Corners stamp set and the Spring Corners dies. I have a portion of it finished, and this is why I'm a little concerned that I might not have everything, because I didn't totally make this card. I just sort of had it in my head, and I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. So I'm going to use gray granite for my card base, and I have Daffodil Delight and Pretty Peacock. And I thought, in this Spring Corners die, there's a flower down here that is cut with this die. You're probably wondering where the technique is. We'll get there. So I could just put this like this and have this yellow showing through for my flower, but I thought I'd grab a piece of this Full of Life Designer Series paper, probably one of my favorite Designer Series papers of all times, and lay this underneath there just to give a little bit of color variation behind my image. So let's go ahead and just add a little bit of adhesive on the back and lay that down. I did kind of get a little bit picky when I took my designer paper, because I wanted to make sure, here's what the whole sheet looked like, right? And I wanted to make sure that I picked a spot I liked. So then when I found my spot, if I laid it like this, I just traced the corner on here and cut it out. And that's why this looks so wonky, because that's what I did. It's kind of actually out of the center of the designer paper. I just want to make sure it doesn't hang out there over the edges. So now I've got some pink flowers, some yellow flowers, a little green down here for the leaves. I just thought that would add a little pop of color. So let's go ahead and adhere that. Oh, that's not going to hold very good. That is temporary adhesive. At least I had the right one here. I always keep temporary adhesive handy because I use it a lot. Hold things in place until I figure some things out. Okay, and then we will put that, I'm gonna put that directly on. Do I want to put it direct or do I want to pop it up? I might want to pop it up. So let's just hold that for a minute, hold that thought. Now in this Spring Corners, in the Spring Corners dies, there's this kind of starburst die and this circular one. So what I thought I'd do is I would just put a sun up here out of yellow, and Daffodil Delight I used for the mat. So I am going to use this Bouquet designer series paper. It is the one that has all the little dots on it. It comes in a variety of colors, but we're going to use the Daffodil Delight, and we're going to die cut this. So I'm going to grab my little mini here again, and we will just quickly run this through. Stagger my plates like I did the last time. And I'm going to just lay this right on here. And I'm wondering if I should stamp this first. You think I can stamp on there without it? Well, let's try. I'll leave myself enough room in case I can't and I have to do it again. I am not real good stamping after something is die cut. Whenever possible, I always stamp first and then die cut. Just tends to work out better for me. But we're going to give it a try. How hard can it be to stamp a little sentiment in the middle of a circle, right? Now, because this is designer series paper is not very heavy. And I did emboss this with the dotted circles embossing folder, so it's kind of bumpy. And my concern is a bit here. And I would know this if I'd made the card beforehand, but if I glue this right down, I think it's not very stiff and it's going to be a little wavy when I do it down. So what I'm going to do, I decided to put these where I will hopefully find them again, is I'm just going to, that was easy to die cut those two pieces quickly. So I'm just going to take a piece of Daffodil Delight, and we're going to cut that too, so that I can stick them on there. And I do that quite often whenever I'm going to stagger this here a little bit. Whenever I potentially want to pop up designer series paper, I should put this on here. Sure. Stick pretty good. I guess you can see that. All right, got it staggered. And let's just go ahead and run this through. But like I was saying, I do that quite often if I am wanting to pop up designer series paper. I found it helpful if I just back it with a cardstock backing of the same die cut. It just tends to give it a little more rigidity. It just works a little bit better. If you're just going to adhere it directly down, don't worry about that. And it's not important. So I am going to, let's see if I can stamp this first. How about we do that? In case I have to cut another one, there's no point in gluing it to that one there. So let me see. I'm going to use this stamp that says, "You brighten my day." I figured that went well with a good little thing of sunshine. And let's see if I can, at least it's photopolymer, so I should be able to get it in the center, right? But you never know. Yeah, good enough. So now let's go ahead and just adhere this to my designer series paper or my cardstock, just to give it a little bit of rigidity so I can pop it up a little bit better. Do you ever do that? ever adhere it to a piece of cardstock. All right, and the sun, we will do the same thing. I am not going to adhere all those little tips. If they come up, that'll just give a little bit more dimension. And here liquid adhesive looks nice because I can slide this around to get it lined up. There we go. So let's take our card front back here, and I'm going to lay this here. Yeah, now if I press on it, it doesn't fall down into the nooks and crannies. But let's go ahead and put that on with dimensionals. And this one here, we are going to use the technique. I was going to do the tech. Should I do the tech? No, it's too late. So here, I'm going to put my tape on. I should have done that before I die cut it. This is why I don't usually do these things on the fly. It's not a good way for me, but it's all right. This is simple to cut out. I can just follow along my die cut. I was going to do the sun too. But I'm not going to fussy cut all those little points and valleys. I think you get the idea of how this works. So I don't need to put you through watching me do that. All right, but it is sticking to everything. This is why don't do what I do what I say. Put the tape down, then die cut. I was in a hurry. Luckily, it's clear. If you don't cut it really well, it doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to see it except for me. And they'll never see it once it's on the card. So we'll put a couple dimensionals on there. Get that straight. Looks pretty straight. All right, let's put it on our card front. And I think because I've already got 2 layers here, I am just going to put this down flat. Otherwise, I've got 3 that's getting pretty thick. I usually I love dimensionals. And I only buy 2-ounce stamps because every card I make pretty much requires it because of the thickness. But I try to keep it to 2 usually. 2 thicknesses, I should say. So we'll make this one flat. All right, there we go. And see how the sun shines? Isn't that cool? Not even cool if the whole thing's shown. I can always pull it off and do another one. Here's the inside of the card. We'll do this quick. I did grab I have a scrap of paper here that I can put behind here if I like the colors. It's going to be a lot of blues. I could use this pink if I did it this way. Alternatively, I can take another piece of what if we put this blue down here and add some pink flowers? That could be pretty. Got pretty peacock in there. Kind of like that. All right, so now I can show you how I did this. I just took a pencil and just kind of traced around here so I knew where to cut, only I didn't have my pencil popped up. So I didn't get any lines. That doesn't work very well, does it? What if I put it all the way down in the corner, save myself some cutting? I think I like a little more pink up in the flower. So, all right, let's try it again. We'll go up here in about this place. If I bring it out here, I want to cut it about right there, so I know where to cut. Grab our cutter, trimmer. And I usually try to think about, okay, if I leave this big piece here, I can always use that on an envelope cap, right? And my mark in this direction was where? I don't know. Can't see it now. So it went like this, kind of. So it's right about there. Okay. And I'm just going to adhere that kind of behind here. Like that. That'll be pretty. I have plenty of this paper. I bought extra when it went on sale last fall. So I have 2 full packs left. All right, there we go. And now we can just adhere this to the inside of our card. Oh, look at that. I have this cut wrong. That never ever happens. Yeah, right. Did I cut this one wrong? Just 5, 3 3/4. Oh, now I get to cut through the glue. That's always fun, isn't it? Yeah. That's all right. It's happened many times, and the trimmer seems to have survived. Like I said, I decided at the very last minute to make this card. I don't even have a tutorial made for it, which I usually make as I make the card. But and I got glue on here. This is a glue eraser. Stampin' Up! Used to sell these many years ago. They no longer do, but I think you can still get them at Michael's or other craft stores. Here Joann's is going out of business, or at least around here they are. So one less place to go buy stuff. But we still got Michael's and Hobby Lobby. Although Hobby Lobby got rid of their, last time I went there first, I ran out of, I can't remember what color embossing powder it was, and I'm like, oh my God, I had a class. And I realized I was so low and I didn't have time to order any. So I just ran out there and they no longer sold it. It was gone. So that was a problem. Set me on a search. Okay, there is the inside. I think that turned out kind of pretty. And there's the card. So why don't we use this extra piece here? Shall I use that piece? Or shall I use the yellow? Let's use the yellow. And this, I like to tuck this under a piece of paper to keep it off from the rest of my envelope. I got glue on my fingers. It's getting everywhere. And Stampin' Seal person that I am, some things I always use liquid adhesive, and envelopes are one of them because it lets me slide it up nice and close to the edge, but allows me to pull it away just a smidgen. A smidgen is just a tiny little, it's like maybe 1/32 of an inch, 1/10 of a millimeter. That's what I understand. In engineering, we worked in millimeters. Even though we were here in the US, we did do millimeters. And sometimes, believe it or not, it is easier to define things in millimeters than it is in inches. Or it's easier for me to picture how much it is. But it's a smidgen. That's my official measurement, just a smidgen. The reason I do that is I used to do it where I put it right on the edge, and then sometimes it catches, and it loosens it up. So I like to slide it down just a hair. A hair is the same as a smidgen. They're about the same size. So, okay, that is our quick last minute card. This was the one with the teapot. Here I've got my bright, shiny sun. And here, this card, I did this coffee cup or teacup. You see that shine on there? And I didn't want my flowers to shine, so I actually stamped this twice, and then I taped over I colored it, and I taped over one of them and I fussy cut it out. And I didn't bother fussy cutting around these leaves, I just cut them off pretty much. But I did fussy cut around this one because I didn't want to have to put that one as part of this. It's just easier to do it there. So then on the other stamping, I just colored this with Stampin' Blends, Berry Burst, Lemon Lime Twist, and a little Daffodil Delight in the middle. Colors here are Boho Blue and Highland Heather. My color coach said it was okay. So that is that card. And I have one more to show you. Because, okay, so these represent sun, china, or glass. And I now have one that's got the sun and some water. And this is made with the Under the Moon stamp set. And so this again there's no dies for this, so I did have to fussy cut, but I think you can see the shine. I did my stamping first, and then I put my tape on, and then I fussy cut it. So that is that card. A little, maybe you're wondering how I did these clouds. That was kind of fun. I didn't want them just solid color. I wanted it to look like the sun was bouncing off from them, if I could. So I used gray granite. I stamped them with gray granite, and I had kind of a dry pad, which worked well because then it didn't get too dark. And then I took a sponge dauber with some lemon lolly on it and daubed it on the side of the cloud. This is all on the stamp, right? That I knew was going to be facing the sun. So when I picked this cloud and knew I was going to stamp it over here, I stamped it. I added the dauber on this side. On this cloud, I added it on the other side of the stamp, and the same up top. This cloud is just this one upside down. So I used the dauber around there. I was kind of happy with how that turned out. That is Lemon Lolly, and we have the Waves embossing folder. So there we go. That is it, ladies and men. If we have any men watching, I am going to flip back and wrap this up. Thank you. Again, apologize for the mess in the back. More things are getting covered up. You love my beautiful sheet paint sheet. It's a sheet I use when I paint something and I lay it on the floor, so it's got all paint on it everywhere. The furniture behind me is covered, so we are going to be making progress soon. I'm excited. So you're going to see this for a while, I think. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't had an indication of how long it's going to take, but I suspect by the time they get cabinets out, new cabinets in, then they got a template for countertops. I'd be surprised if it's done in less than a month. I don't know. Could be wrong. I'll keep my fingers crossed it goes faster, but it'll look great in the end, so it'll be worth it. So just I apologize for the mess behind me. And thank you for watching. I hope you try this technique. Packing tape doesn't get any simpler than that. It'd be simpler if I remember to put it on before I die cut. So learn from me. Don't do what I did. Do what I say. Okay. If you like the video, if you think you learned something, will you give me a thumbs up? I would appreciate it. And if you are new, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe and follow me, help my channel grow. All of these cards, I will tell you, at some point, I'm not going to say 100% of them, but the majority of them do turn up on my blog within probably 2 to 3 weeks of the video. So you can go to my blog at GorillaStampandFlair.com, and there's a tutorial tab at the top. If you don't want to search through it, all the tutorials, there's a picture of the card with a link to the tutorial for every tutorial and every card that I've ever posted on my blog. And I think I saw it was up to 600 and something a few days ago when I looked the last time. So there's lots of tutorials out there. Take advantage of that. They're free. All you gotta do is download them, and you've got them forever. Most of them will also include a link to the video. So if you liked any of these cards today, you'll find them at some point. It may not be tomorrow. It may be next week. It may be the following week, but you can always look on that tutorial tab to find them. So thank you. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the week. God bless, and we will see you next week with something else. I think it's Fun Fold Week. I have to look at my schedule, but I think it's Fun Fold Week. So Fun Fold Week's always fun. It's always fun to make a Fun Fold Week. Have a great one, ladies, friends, Stampin' Friends. Appreciate you watching. God bless. Bye-bye.